you're on the move with Margaret, and thank you for joining us on our podcast today, where I have inspiring women who hopefully will inspire other women to get out and be the best they can be. I believe that every woman was born with a seed of greatness inside her, and it's only in occasions where you test it that this really comes up, and you can get that seed of greatness to grow, and you can be the best you that you can possibly be. So today we are very honored to have our reigning Mrs. South Africa, Karika Bebb, with us. And she, although she's a Cape Townian, she lives in Cape Town, but she's in Johannesburg today. And she's joining us from our studio in Meadowdale. And we're very happy to have you on the show today, Karika. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Margaret. Thank you so much for having me on your show. It's always such a privilege to have a conversation with you.
Karika is a qualified fashion designer, businesswoman, wife, mother of two, trail runner, obstacle course racer, and her career has evolved into global commercial brand development through BAMDO Advisory, which she co-owns with her husband, Wayne. So that's quite a lot to do. And of course, there is the Mrs. South Africa. And when you look at Karika and everything she stands for confidence, style, purpose, strength, and empowering others. It almost feels as though this title was made for her. And we have the same goals and the same vision of empowering other women to be the best they can be. So today we want to get to know the woman behind the crown and talk to her about her fashion, business, family, her foundation, Mrs. Globe in Las Vegas, and what this extraordinary chapter has taught her about finding her voice and building a legacy. But before we talk about Mrs. South Africa, talk about Karika growing up. Where did you grow up? Where did you go to school? And take us on your journey so far.
So, Margaret, I was born in Pietermaritzburg and I moved to Gauteng, actually the East Rand, when I was about 6 years old, just before I went to primary school. So I went to primary school in Kempton Park and I also went to high school there. And it's only after school that I moved to Cape Town to study fashion design. And then after that, I moved back to Joburg and then back to Cape Town. So I've been in Cape Town for 12 years. So I think I can officially call myself a Cape Townian.
Fantastic. That's where everybody really wants to be. But tell us about your love of fashion and where it actually began.
To actually started as a little girl. I remember my mother telling me the story where I was literally sleeping next to her sewing machine because I said to her I wanted a skirt that flares up like this when I turn around, and I could not wait for her to finish that outfit. So since I was a little girl, I had these very specific ideas of what I wanted to wear. Even when she used to take me shopping, she said I had a very strong will of my own. She could never pick out outfits for me. I always picked out my own outfits.
It's so good. And it's so good to have a girl who's got a will of her own and is strong. Today we are here to build strong women, and it's up to every woman to be really strong. So you qualified as a fashion designer, but your career has changed enormously since then. Tell us how you went from fashion into global commercial brand development.
While I was starting a business as a fashion designer, it's very challenging. I didn't have any financial support, so I was paying rent for my flat, trying to pay rent for a studio, and paying someone a salaries. And during that time, I call it, you need to pivot. I was thinking to myself, I need to grow my income because this is not working for me right now. And I got opportunities to go into corporate wear, which is much more financially lucrative. And that started becoming an avenue into branding and all sorts of other different avenues. And through that career, I ended up working with big sports brands, and one of them approached me to work for them directly. Because in the branding space, I had customers wanting sports clothing as well. And that's how I got into the sports brands. And then I worked for two big international brands for over a decade, which I believe that's where all my experience come from, working with global brands and doing commercial development for them. But that career also got to a point where it wasn't fulfilling anymore, and I felt like I kind of reached the ceiling there. There's nowhere else for me to grow, and I felt unfulfilled. And that's when my husband said, "Listen, I think you need to resign and think about what you really wanted to do." And that's within that period that me and my husband started BAMDA Advisory, because we both had incredible skills when it comes to commercial development of brands in different areas. And we also complement each other, our strengths and our weaknesses.
Yeah, and as you know, I love a family business. I love husbands and wives working together. It binds you together, and you can leave a legacy if you have that. So that's incredible. What do you love most about the work that you do?
I love building things up, taking something and making it bigger or better, or just helping people to see what they can do and what the potential of something is. It's so fulfilling to see something at a certain level, and then just by putting the right strategy in place and working hard and having the right vision, you can take something on a whole new level. And that, I love that.
Yeah. Now, what's building a career in a business taught you about backing yourself, particularly as a woman? Because as women, we often get that imposter syndrome creeping in. And how did you get rid of it and just say, we're going forward?
That was quite a journey, I must say, because when I started in the sports brand industry, it's a very male dominated industry. And I remember I was so scared to speak up in meetings, and it took me a lot of time because I didn't have the confidence to speak up. But I realized and I learned back then that if you don't have confidence and if you don't believe in yourself, no one else is going to believe in what you have to say or your opinion. Or even if you're selling a brand or growing a business, if you don't have that confidence to believe in your product or your ability or that your voice matters, no one's going to want to listen to you or believe in you either.
Absolutely. Now, let's go back to fashion because it's such a big part of who you are. And what does fashion mean to you? And what is fashion other than just looking good?
Fashion for me is a way to express my creativity. And it's also such a big part of my personality because I love to make things beautiful. And for me, putting a beautiful outfit together is something I truly enjoy. I also help a lot of the girls with fashion advice. They always come to me and say, Karika, do you think I should wear this? Or even during the pageant journey, they always sent their outfits to me asking my opinion. And I absolutely love that. And also believe it's something that you're born with, like style is a gift and knowing how to put things together. It's the same as decorating an interior space or making a home beautiful, whether you set the table. It all comes down to style, and it's something that I've learned to embrace, and it's part of who I am. And you need to own who you are. And if you love dressing up, own it and do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, do you believe the way a woman dresses can influence the way she feels and the confidence that she carries into a room?
Absolutely. I mean, when I'm all dressed up and my hair's done and my makeup's done, I feel fabulous. I feel like I can conquer the world. And I've seen so many women through the Mrs. South Africa journey who started out and say, "Oh, I would never wear heels," or "I'm not a girl who dress up or wear makeup." But at the end of the journey, you see how they transform and how much joy it brings to women when they step on that stage and they're wearing a beautiful evening gown and their hair and their makeup's done. They love it. I think deep
Yeah,
down in every woman's heart, there's that desire to want to look beautiful when you walk into a room and feel good about yourself and feel confident.
yeah, and have the confidence even to wear a swimsuit because there's a swimsuit pageant as well.
Yes.
So that was also something that a lot of girls struggled with. But you know what? They just do it and off it goes, and it's incredible. So
Yes.
now we all think of how fashion has changed over the years. How's your personal style changed now, since you've become older and more comfortable in who you are?
I like timeless classic pieces. I always say I like old money vibes.
Yeah.
That is like, that's a style that I really enjoy. And it doesn't go in and out of fashion. I think when you become older, you also want to look sophisticated. And especially as Mrs. South Africa, I need to look like a queen. So I need to put a lot of thought in what I wear and how I present myself and always to look tasteful and classy.
Yeah. And are you loving the story about the glamour, the gowns, the fashion, and all that comes with the title?
Absolutely. I'm not going to lie. I do love it. I love going to events and getting all dressed up. I mean, we all know it's way more than
Yeah.
that, it's about purpose, but how fun is it to live out your purpose and look fantastic while you're doing it?
Yeah, when you look at this role, it genuinely feels like the title was made for you. You were born to have it. But what made you enter Mrs. South Africa at the ripe old age of 44?
So one of the biggest things for me that felt missing in my life was having like purpose and also doing something where I can empower other women and having the platform that provides those opportunities for you. And I read about all these amazing stories of women that entered Mrs. South Africa, and I thought, wow, I want that. I want to be a part of something like that. That's so much bigger than yourself.
Yeah,
And but I would say the main thing that drove me was purpose, just
yeah.
living a purpose-driven life, and that's why I entered.
And when you entered, did you go in thinking, I'm going to win this, or you just thinking, I'm going for the ride and I hope it all turns out well?
I always thought to myself, being Mrs. South Africa would absolutely be my dream job, but that was not my main focus when I went into this journey. Is I wanted to give this journey my absolute best. Every opportunity I get, every task I get, everything that come my way. I wanted to take it on with both hands and give it my absolute all. And I did. I worked very, very, very hard. And look where I am now.
Yeah, wow. But it wasn't an easy journey because you were first of all crowned first princess, and then when Verushka gave her crown back,
Yeah.
you got the crown. So tell us about that and how you felt.
So for me, the three most important things during my journey, because it was purpose driven, was always what is it that God wants to do in me? What does He want to do through me? And where does He want to position me to best serve His purpose? And I believed wherever I ended up was the position I needed to be in. So I was never disappointed when I was first princess. In fact, I was so excited because for me, that was my new chapter. That's where I'm meant to be. And I trusted that I ended up exactly where I was meant to be in that particular season or moments.
Yeah. Yeah. And has becoming Mrs. South Africa changed the way you see yourself?
I must say it does. I always say there's a seeing yourself as a princess is different to seeing yourself as a queen.
Yeah.
I think there's it's such a big responsibility, and you get those moments where you think, wow, am I good enough for this, or I'm going to do this justice?
Yeah.
Not because I won't say because I don't believe in myself, but it's such an incredible opportunity, and I want to make sure that I really utilize it and that I leave a legacy and that I make Joni and Mr. South Africa proud.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure you will. But you said this journey has really helped you find your voice. What did you discover about yourself that perhaps you had been hidden in you before? And I always say, this platform gives you the chance to let it all out.
You know what's very interesting is I had the worst fear of speaking in public. And I remember when I entered Mrs. South Africa, I had to make a video where you had to speak on the video. And I've never done that, even on my socials. I never used to speak on my socials. And that for me was so challenging. And I was cringing. But you don't have a choice. That's what I love about this platform. You have to you get tasks and you get thrown into the deep end and you just need to swim and you have to get it done. There's
Yeah.
no way around it. And the first time is always the hardest. But what I learned on this platform is you can do anything you set your mind to and do it scared anyway. And every time you do it, you become better and better and better. There were so many things, like I had the worst stage fright when it was a semi-final showcase. I thought I was not going to be able to get on that stage, and now I enjoy it. I enjoy walking on the stage. I love it. And
Yeah.
those things taught me that, as women, we have so many excuses why we think we can't do stuff. But when you actually just do it, I know it sounds such a cliche, but you'll be surprised what you are capable of. And these are all the building blocks that's needed for me to step into my next chapter. Like, I know I'm called to speak. I've been asked to speak at so many events, and I wouldn't have been able to do it if I didn't go through this program.
Yes, absolutely. And speaking is such to me, it's very fulfilling because you go out, you speak to people and you speak into their soul and they come back. And the best bit is the question. I always have questions and answers at the end. And that's where you really see how people feel and how you've helped them to get over themselves and get there. But now the Mrs. South Africa took you all the way to Las Vegas for Mrs. Globe. Tell us about that. That must have been an amazing experience. Had you been to Las Vegas before?
So it was actually in Palm Springs.
Oh, was it? Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's
But
also
I've never,
amazing. Hey? Yeah.
yeah. I've never been to Palm Springs ever in my life. No, it was such an honor to represent South Africa on the international stage. I mean, who ever thought that I'm 45 now, as a 45-year-old woman, I'm going to step on the international stage and represent my country. And that in itself is just a testimony of what can happen when you put yourself out there and you move past all the excuses or all the reasons why you can't do something. And I want to tell you something interesting, Margaret. I'm officially the oldest Mrs. South Africa that's ever been crowned.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Oh, that's
Yes.
incredible.
I'm also the shortest. And I love telling this story. I spoke to a group of women that were quite an older crowd. And I said to them, I use this example because when I became a semi-finalist, all the girls were talking and they're saying, oh, they'll never choose someone that's shorter. They're never going to choose someone over this age or someone that comes from Cape Town. And all those things that they thought in their minds is going to disqualify them. Look at what happened.
Yeah, it's so good. It's absolutely amazing. But tell us, how different was the international competition from the local competition? Here you were girls who and you from Gauteng and KZN and everything, but they're from right around the world. How did it feel?
It's quite, I won't say intimidating, but it's like it's on another level. It is, like you say, it's the best of the best all over the world.
Yeah.
But I must say it was an incredible atmosphere there, and there was also like a sisterhood there, and there Mrs. Globe also has incredible values, and
Yeah.
so I met really, really phenomenal women. That's always one of the best parts of going on a journey like that is the women that you meet. But I think there's a different kind of pressure when you compete internationally because there's so many people that invest in you. There's so many sponsors that's behind you, and also there's people believe in you. They want you to do well, so you don't want to disappoint anybody.
We're rooting for you. It was a moment when you were standing and you thought, "Oh my goodness, how did my life bring me all the way here? How did this happen? Here I am in Palm Springs and my fantastic outfit with a crown on my head. How did this happen? It just must feel so incredible."
Margaret, you know what? I tell this to a lot of people. I wake up every morning and I think to myself, oh my goodness, I'm Mrs. South Africa. I don't think it will ever sink in.
Oh,
I literally
yeah.
wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh my word.
And it's something that nobody can take away from you, which is also so, so important. But
No, it's so special.
all those ladies that you met at Mrs. Globe, they're also different from all over the world. What did you learn from them?
I learned that, you know, as women, we can speak different languages, we can come from different countries, but we all have like the same desires, we have the same struggles, we
Yeah.
have this sometimes the same obstacles. There's so many similarities between all of us, although we're so different, because you hear the stories of these other women and
Yeah.
yeah, they all have a past, they all had obstacles to overcome, and also all of them had like quite a journey to walk to get there. It's so interesting to hear everybody's stories.
Yeah, I love the stories. So one of the things I always believe that the title, it's truly powerful, but it's only really powerful when you use the platform to make a difference in the world. So tell us about your foundation and why you decided to start it.
So the BEP Foundation it was actually something that I had in mind for a very long time. And during my Mr. South Africa journey, I just realized I have to do this. And also I went through the journey and the way I grew got me to a point where I had the confidence to actually start this. And I understood the power of what it can do because I see how this platform empowers the women around me and how it empowered me. And I also wanted to give back to the community and to South Africa. And for me, I looked at what is all the problems we have in our country. It's education is a problem. There's employment problems. There's kids that's on the streets, and I always bring it back to where's the root of the problem. And for me, it was kids that grow up on the streets or don't have parents or orphans that don't have opportunities. They're the kids that end up being unemployed or end up getting addicted to drugs or ending up on the street. And I said to my husband, I want to focus specifically on our youth. And I had this vision of it's so amazing because I really had a vision of building orphanages and I didn't know how we're going to start, but this is another lesson I learned is just start. So step one is get the foundation up and running. Once you're there and the opportunities just started presenting itself, I partnered with one of the semi-finalists from last year, Zaza, because she's got a foundation that looks after 24 orphans and she received a piece of land where she wanted to build a safety home. And that's exactly what our vision was to build an orphanage. And we've now partnered with her and we're going to do the fundraising to build an orphanage for 60 children.
Wow, that's incredible. I own an orphanage in Isipingo, and it is so, so rewarding. It's never ending. Was there a particular moment or personal experience that made you realize this is where I want to make a difference and this is how I can make a difference? And I think that's the beauty of the platform. It gives you the ability to make a difference if you want to.
There was a few significant moments for me, and I actually want to share them. The first one was when I was announced as a semi-finalist, and I sat in that first workshop. It was like someone lit a fire in me. And I knew this is exactly where I was meant to be. This is going to lead me to my destiny. And throughout my journey, because we work with foundations, because we do charity work, I just saw the need. There's such a need in our country. And I saw the power of this platform and what you're able to do and to really utilize it. And it just created such a desire in me there's two things, to get involved in my community and do something for my country, but also specifically for the women of South Africa. So those are my two biggest projects that I want to carry forward with me. And I want to really leave a legacy in those two areas.
Absolutely, and it's so important to leave that legacy. Now, you're a wife, a mother of two, and someone who speaks very openly about a purpose-driven life. How's your family
Yes.
supported you through this incredible whole season that you've been in?
Margaret, I can't complain. I really have the most supportive husband. My husband's quite a legend throughout the Mr. South Africa platform. He even made videos with me during my journey. He literally went the extra mile. But you know what's amazing is my husband the other day said right now he believes his purpose is to facilitate me to walk in my purpose, and we do it together. I've also learned in this journey when you involve your family, your kids, and your husband, and they know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and you make them a part of your journey, then then it doesn't become two separate things in your household.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a very fine line between you doing Mrs. South Africa and they doing life, and this is two completely separate things, and then you drift apart from each other. But we're doing it as a team. We're always a team in whatever we do. So I always say it's our journey. It's not just my journey.
Yeah, no, it's got to be the whole family has to get involved. Otherwise it doesn't work.
Yes.
It's you and them, and that doesn't ever work. It's always going to be completely together. So that's so
Yes.
wonderful. Now, what do you hope your children will learn from watching their mom take on something completely new and step out onto international stage? And I remember Jo Wilson, who won a few years ago. I saw her children. She blossomed and grew, but her children, from when I met them, so they were just absolutely unbelievable. Oh, they were so fabulous.
I want them to see that you are capable of anything, and I want them to have courage, to pursue things in life and not to be scared and to just go for it. Because when your children see you putting yourself out there and you overcoming fears or obstacles and you being courageous, it inspires them to do the same. And I always say you need to lead by example.
Absolutely. Now, you also say your faith is important to you, and you're studying at Bible school at the moment. How do you fit all that into everything, including the Mr. South Africa pageant?
So I've actually completed my first year Bible school beginning of this year in February. I've completed the first year, it was tough. I had to catch up. I think it was December, January, and February. I was full day, all day, every day doing Bible school.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was, yeah, it was online, which made it easier, but it's still a commitment. But I would say when you prioritize things, we as women can get a lot of things done.
Yeah.
So that's one of my goals next year is to do my second year.
Okay, well, it's just what I find inspiring about your story is this huge new chapter. It didn't happen at 20 or even at 30, but in your 40s, and they always say life begins at 40, and you sure have proved that. So it's just incredible. But don't you think that women sometimes convince themselves that they've missed their chance? Oh, it's too late. It's
Yes.
not going to happen. And they convince themselves that it is too late when it actually isn't.
You know what is the biggest thing which I wish women would let go of is your age is a number. I want them to completely forget how old they are. No, because that's the first thing that comes out of a woman's mouth. Oh, I'm too old, and for them to really realize age, it's got nothing to do with age. It's about just start. If you have a dream or there's something you want to do or that you've always wanted to do, nothing is stopping you except yourself. And to also teach women to stop disqualifying themselves. Like I said, if I had to disqualify myself on all those, based on all those factors when I started the Mr. South Africa journey, I wouldn't have done it. I would have said, no, I'm too this, I'm too old, I'm too short, stop disqualifying themselves and think of reasons why they can do something. And there's really nothing stopping us, Margaret. I know it sounds so simple, but one of the most powerful things is to start. And that is the hardest thing for people. I've seen this over and over. People have a vision, they have a dream, but they're too afraid to start. And one thing I've also learned is when you start, don't focus on the end result or don't think about where you need to be because that will completely overwhelm you, especially if you're in a comfort zone and you're in a stage in your life where you're a bit older and you're stuck in your ways. I always say focus on the first step and then what is the next thing? Like if I think about we have to build an orphanage, we have a piece of land, that's where we are now. But I know the next step is meeting with an architect to draw up the plans. And I don't think of anything else. I'm just focusing on that particular thing. And that's like with anything, whether you're starting a business or whether you're starting a new journey, just focus on what is the first thing you need to do. And you'll be surprised in a couple of weeks where you end up and what you've achieved.
Absolutely. Now, what are you going to say to the woman sitting there at home who spent years putting her family, career, and everyone else first and wondering, when is it my turn? And wanting to do things without feeling guilty. Oh, I should rather be doing something for the family. I should rather be doing something for my husband. But as women, we actually have to put ourselves first at some stage.
Yes. I love that question, Margaret, because I even during my Mrs. South Africa journey, even now, I have moments of guilt where I feel like my husband's investing everything into me, into this journey. It was one thing leading up to Mrs. South Africa, but now I am Mrs. South Africa, so it's another year of basically focusing on me and this journey. But what I've learned is when our cups are full, when we are blooming, it affects our husband and our kids. And it's okay to want more. That's the other thing I want to tell women. You're not selfish if you want more, because the better you are as a woman and the more fulfilled you are and the more you're doing something incredible that's related to your purpose, the better wife you're going to be, the better mom you're going to be, the better friend or sister or daughter you're going to be. And you need to see it in that way. It's actually a positive thing. My husband always says, when I'm feeling good, when I'm happy, when I'm confident, it affects him.
Yeah, it really does. My husband always says, happy wife, happy life. If you're happy,
Exactly.
everybody's happy. If you're not happy, none of us are happy. It's so true. So I think this journey's taught you so that we're capable of much more than we ever thought. And that's what I
Yes.
see with the girls coming through. A lot of women start every sentence with sorry, sorry, and they apologize all the time. What's one thing you wish more women would stop apologizing for?
I think it's for having a voice and having a need and having a want. There's nothing wrong with that. It's almost like women feel, like you say, they feel guilty to want more. They feel guilty to have a voice, to say something, to actually put themselves out there. And I think it's directly to relate it to their worth. Like women need to understand their worth, because
Yeah,
a woman that knows her worth is a powerful woman, and that's an empowered woman. And
yeah.
she's not a woman that's going to stay quiet. She is going to have an opinion. She is going to have a voice. She's going to stand up for the things she loves and believes in. So I think it really comes down to your worth as well.
Absolutely. Now, if you could go back and speak to the Karika at 20 or 30, what would you tell her about what was in store for her coming forward?
I really like, I don't know if I've mentioned it, but as a 20-year-old and even a 30-year-old, I really struggled with self-confidence, with my worth, with believing in myself. And I wish I knew what I knew now, like how worthy I am, what I'm capable of, and
Yeah,
just learn to believe in myself from a young age and to
yeah.
not have lost all those years of not believing in yourself and not feeling good enough. I always had this thing of feeling not good enough.
But tell us, when the crown eventually comes off, what do you want the name Karika Beb to stand for?
The one thing I said in my finalist interview and in my presentation is I wanted everything that I do to reflect the love of God. And I want people to when they think about me, think of not what I did, but how I did it, the way I did it, and how I made them feel. Those are three things for me that's very important.
Fantastic. Now let's have a bit of fun. So let's just say, if I had to say to you, high heels or tackies, what would you choose?
High heels.
A little black
Jackies
dress,
are anywhere to the gym.
a little black dress, or something bold?
Something bold.
And who's your favorite fashion designer?
Christian Dior.
And what's one thing every woman needs in her wardrobe?
I would say a tailored black coat.
Yes, a black suit. Oh, it's so necessary. A good one too. What fashion trend
Yes.
would you happily never see again? For me, it's bell bottoms. I absolutely can't stand bell bottoms. But anyway, what's yours?
I would say low rise jeans or pants.
Oh, okay.
Those hipster pants.
Yeah. Trail running or obstacle course racing?
That's a tough one. They kind of go together in the way I was doing it. But I
Cape
would
Town
say
or
trail running.
okay. Cape Town or New York?
Cape Town.
One place still on your travel bucket list.
Bora Bora.
Oh, yes, it's lovely there. One word that describes the season of your life.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah, that's so true. So, Karika, my final question is one I think every woman watching can take something from. If there's a woman watching today who feels there's more for her, but fear, age, circumstances, or simply life have stopped her from going after it, what would you like her to hear from you today?
I would want her to know, firstly, that she's worthy, she's beautiful, and she's capable of so much more. And also that everything that you need to walk in your purpose or do something incredible, like God already placed that within you. And sometimes it's just you need to put yourself out there to draw those gifts out of you and to draw those talents out of you. It's almost like looking at a diamond. You
Yeah.
need to polish it, you need to shape it to get to where it shines bright. and to not doubt what's inside of you and not to think that you don't have something valuable, because each and every one has something valuable inside of them.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, Karika, thank you so much for being on the show today. Your story is such a beautiful reminder that there's no expiry date on becoming more of who you're meant to be. And as the oldest crown Mrs. South Africa, you stepped into a completely new arena. You found your voice, you became Mrs. South Africa, represented our country in America, and you're using that platform to create something that goes far beyond a crown. And I think that's where it all comes down to. It really does feel like this title was made for you. But what I love most is what you are choosing to do with it. I cannot wait to see what comes out next for you, and I can't wait for this orphanage to come out. And I know when I built my orphanage, it was just incredible. It's the most amazing thing ever. And to everyone watching, thank you so much for joining us on this episode on The Move with Margaret. And if Karika's story inspired you, please share this conversation with another woman who needs it as a reminder that her next chapter might just be her best one yet. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please like and subscribe, and please share with another lady who you might know who would be inspired by listening to this conversation. Please join me next week as well for another talk with another inspiring woman who might be the one who takes you to the next level. Thank you.